Hi, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Ask Emily, where I will be answering all of your questions about dating. Our first one comes from Alexa, who said, any suggestions for a perfect go-to outfit and makeup for a first date? So I don't think there's really such thing as a perfect outfit or makeup for a first date. It obviously depends on where you're going to be going. You want to be dressed appropriately for the occasion. So if you're going to dinner and a movie, or if you're going on a picnic, you don't want to be in a tiny dress and heels if you're going to be at a sporting event, something like that. But I think most importantly, it's less about your actual outfit, how you're curling your eyelashes, and more about wearing something that makes you feel really comfortable and something that really reflects who you are. So for example, I went on a first pretty awkward date a few years back, and I wore flats, which I never do. Pretty much anytime I go on a date, even with my husband now that I'm pregnant, I love to wear heels. I feel my best. And I wore flats just because he was on the shorter side, and the whole time I just didn't feel like myself. I also didn't eat. I had like a tiny salad, which is so not me. And so I think the most important thing is to wear, do, say the things that make you most comfortable and really represent who you are. This next question comes from Nikita, who said, what were your rules or deal breakers when you were looking for your husband? What basic characteristics were essential, like opening doors, personal hygiene, etc.? Would you recommend any others that you have found a bonus or a downer as time progressed? I think the most important thing is to not look for a husband. Be open to meeting all kinds of people, but if you're kind of on this like mad scavenger hunt to find the one, you're just gonna come off as kind of creepy and insecure, and that's never appealing to anyone. So just be open to finding the one, and you know that it'll happen over time. As for characteristics that were important to me, I wanted someone with a sense of humor, someone who was sharp and would challenge me, someone who was sweet and also would make me a priority, just because the relationships in my life are always of utmost importance, so I wanted the same for myself. As for things that have kind of come out as time has progressed, Jeffrey has always had a way of making me feel really safe and secure, and I think it's a really wonderful quality to have as a father. It's something that my dad always provided for me, and so I'm really excited to see that kind of come out even more once our daughter arrives. This next question comes from Megan, who said, how do you think of creative, fun, and affordable date ideas that aren't just dinner and a movie, especially when you have been together for almost 8 years? So Jeffrey and I are going on 7 years, so I understand that, it does take a little bit more time and effort to come up with date night ideas that aren't all the same. I think experiencing the city together is always a fun thing to do. If you go to a concert at the pier or an art walk, finding new openings at things is always a really great thing to do together. And we'll sometimes even hear of something and schedule it in the other person's calendar to just show that we're thinking of them and want to try these new things together. Alternatively, something that we've done in the past is to make just one night dedicated to the other person entirely. So a few months back, this was before I was pregnant, so there was a lot of cheese involved. Jeffrey made me an amazing cheese plate, and he actually doesn't really like cheese, so it was really sweet of him to do. He made me my favorite drink, so I had like a great martini, really wonderful dinner, and then he watched a movie that I wanted to watch. I think it was 27 Dresses, which is like kind of embarrassing to admit, but it was just such a lovely thing because it was clear that the entire evening was kind of meant to be all about me. I'm pretty sure I have not yet reciprocated, but there will probably be some scotch involved, a sci-fi movie. I need to make sure that happens before the baby arrives, but I think those are some of the things that we've been doing to keep things alive in our relationship. This next question is from Alexandra, who said, what is the male equivalent of small gifts such as roses, chocolates, and small jewelry? So I don't think there's an exact equivalent when it comes to the little things that we do for guys, but I think it's more about the idea of acts of kindness rather than just things. So it took me a while to figure this out, and I think this depends on your guy, but for me, the 3 things that I consistently try to do for G, I will make him coffee in the morning. I will try to pick him up something small when I'm out. So if I'm getting lunch with a girlfriend and there happens to be a bakery there, I will pick up his favorite cookie. The last thing is anything having to do with his car. So if I go get gas or get it washed, that goes a really long way. Fabiola asked, how would you manage a long-distance relationship? So I've actually had 2 long-term long-distance relationships. And while they typically suck, because you're not going to be living near the person that you're with, there are some benefits. You become a lot more independent, you have more time with girlfriends, that kind of thing, and you really do treasure the time that you spend together with the guy because you're not seeing him every single day. So that being said, I think it always is important to have dates set in the future, whether it's 2 weeks out, 3 months out, for the next time you're going to see each other, whether it's in your city or planning a special little getaway. That really helps and gives you something to look forward to. I also think it's really important to know a lot about each other's lives. You know each other's friends, where you live, some of your favorite things to do in either city, just so that you can kind of imagine what that other person is doing. It makes it so much easier when you're on the phone, send pictures, that kind of thing, to just keep each other up to date on what you're up to, even if you don't get to see each other every day. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Ask Emily, and please continue sending in your questions to me via the comment section on my blog or through social media with the hashtag AskEmily.